Right, it's Gadget UK here again, out of breath. This package came from Tom Meades, February 2023. So I've been meaning to get around to this for a while. I believe it's maybe one or two 1080 or 1050, not 1080, 1050 disk drives for the Atari 8-bit range. So I'll open this and we'll find out what's inside it. Right, so let's start by trying to get this out. Got to try and slide the lever over that little flap without breaking it. There we go. That should come out. There we go. So that's just a protective thing to, you know, it pulls the heads down. The heads are closed on top of that. I've always wondered if that was a good idea or a bad idea. Like, maybe it's better in transit for the head to be floating around, because I think there's only one head on this. I could be wrong. Maybe the 1050 is a later one, because there were quite a few different models of these Atari drives. So yeah, it's a bit beaten up here, a bit scratched. It's probably plastic that's silver painted there. It's not really chromed, I don't think. It might be. So, I don't know, try a bit of plastic polish on that. He's obviously got a fair bit of scratching and stuff on it. He did say it was a bit beat up, but we can clean that off. I think all of this will come off. The label will come off there. Yeah, up here we've got a postcode, Riley. I think that said Redcroft, does it? Just give me a sec. Yeah, how many of us did this in the 90s and 80s? Look. With the UV, you can actually read it. Oh, I can't even move that name. Yeah, so I'm just hiding the postcode there. Riley. Redcroft. How cool is that? It's supposed to be secret, invisible writing, but you can read it just looking at it like that. But to be fair, I'll probably leave it there because it is a little bit of history. And just reading his letter again. So yeah, he sent me some discs to test with this, and he said I can keep this. This is just incredible. This is absolutely incredible. It says the Atari 1050 works, just needs some TLC and it's yours to keep. How cool is that? So he sent me a cable to test with, so I need to send the cable back. I'll have to get an SIO cable. I think the one for my the device I got from Lothrak, I think it's built in, isn't it? It's not a separate cable. So we'll need to get an SIO cable. So looking around the back, it's very much like the Commodore drives, the 1541s and stuff. You've got drive select switch there. So you need to put something in there just to switch that over. 2 SIO ports, just like on the C64, but different, you know, because it's got round DINs on the C64 drives, 1541 and stuff. So, you know, you have a pass-through. Yeah, you can connect your tape deck up or another drive and daisy chain them and power in. So I've got the power supply. It's like a Dragon 32 power supply. I'll show you that. So we'll start by just giving it a try. We'll see what it does before we go inside it. Yeah, so crazy mains transformer plugged in. It weighs a ton, that. And we'll just move this over to the side in order that I can get the 65XC in position. It's actually upgraded to 1 meg. In fact, it's upgraded twice. It was upgraded to 128K, you know, bringing it in line with the 130XC. It's a bit battered up, this. It's got some damage here, it's got a dint there, and it had a crack or something there, but from the top it's very presentable, really. And the keys are a bit yellowed because it's been in a dark place. Yep, that's the thing. These things go yellow when they're in the dark room, not when they're in the sun. The exact opposite happens when they're in the sun. So I've got power connected, I've got video connected. So I've got the serial I/O lead that Tom kindly lent me here. Get that there. I'm just going to pick one of the ones on the back of the drive and just plug it in. Hang on, got to get it the right way up. Yeah, you can only get those one way up. The thinner, you know, the one either the top or the bottom, basically. So you can't get that round the wrong way. Just pulling you back a little bit there. Switch it on. Hang on, switch it off. Switch the drive on. Interesting. Let's just switch that off and on again. Yeah, so there is some sort of initialization goes on there, isn't there, where it seeks. Switch the 65XE on. And interestingly, that's what we get on the screen. So it's like it tries to auto boot. Let's get a disc in. So he's kindly lent me here a few discs to try. We've got common. So let's put that in the drive. Does it click? Yes, it does. It clicks in. That's quite nice. Wow, that doesn't sound healthy, does it? Yeah, I think it needs a service. Right, let's switch the Atari on. That is so noisy. So noisy. I thought that tape drive I fixed was noisy, the XC11. There we go, it's loading. Now it's worth mentioning you may need to hold down Option when you boot into Disable Basic. It's going to vary from game to game, I don't know. Maybe it says flip disk, press a key. So it looks like we've got data on the other side. It's a single head on this drive, presumably. Well, it is, because it wouldn't be asking us to flip it, would it? If there was some sort of automatic changeover thing. There we go, that's loaded, and that's really quick. So much better than loading from tape. Tape on the Atari 8-bit takes forever. I mean, like, it is the worst of all the systems I've tested in terms of how long it takes to load a game from cassette. Most of the cassettes that you gave me to test here, they take at least 15 minutes each to load. Some of them maybe up to 20 minutes to load, which is nuts. Anyway, that has worked. That has worked. I'm just going to connect the Mega Drive pad up through the adapter from James at Retro HQ. There'll be a link top right to that video. I know I keep spamming the heck out of links to that video. It's such a cool adapter. It's well worth getting one for all of your systems really that use a Kempston or Atari style joystick. So let's just turn it up a little bit and hit fire. Right, it's loading again. Yeah, the screen has changed. It's got a little map, a screen displayed. I'll show you in a sec. It's very noisy though. And there we go, and it loaded, no issues at all. It's very quick. It could be quicker though. There are mods you can do to these drives, just like the 1541s. I'm not quite sure what you do here. Let's leg it for that ladder over there. I presume we have to get to the top and follow. Yeah, there's an arrow, isn't there? Top left of the screen there. That's where we're headed. Oh, hang on. Oh, that's so unfair. That is so unfair. As many of these games were. If you're thinking this looks a bit Bruce Lee-ish in terms of the small sprites and things and the layout on the screen, it's the same company, isn't it? Same company. So, right, I'm going to stop here somewhere. Hang on. Just because... Oh, it's still got me. It's annoying when you get to the top of the ladder, you seem to jump upwards. Ugh, it's like you can't get off without jumping. He jumps with joy at the top of a ladder for some reason. There we go. Right, I'm going to stop a bit further back here now. Ah. Ah. Oh, that is... Oh, it's loaded again. Struggles are in vain. Hit fire. Is it going to throw us back to the title? It might do. I'm curious what that whining is. Like, is it the disc on the surface, or is it one of the steppers or something? I don't know, something's whining in there though. Could be the spindle, the thing that spins the disc. Maybe it just needs a bit of lubrication. Clearly the belts seem alright in it though. Oh, anyway. Right, I've seen enough of that just for now. We'll have another play of that after, and we'll test some of the other discs as well in a bit. But I figure, let's tear it down, clean it up, and, well, let's see if we can deal with that squealing really. So let's take that disc out and we'll switch the drive off. It's going to be interesting to see the insides of this, because it's, from what I understand, it's very, very similar to 1541. Atari sort of went the same way about having, I think, a CPU on board here with some RAM and some I/O and make it an intelligent disk drive. I think you just get able to get more throughput and stuff if you put some intelligence into the drive. So I think it's got a 6507 in there. I asked the question recently about that when we looked at the 7800. I was talking about in terms of the 2600, because that's what the 2600 uses, 6507. Not sure if that post is broke there, because it made a sort of funny noise, didn't it? Like it was really jammed or it cracked open or something, I don't know. Anyway, let's get these out. The point is though, on that video someone said these disk drives use a 6507-2 as well as, not number 2, a 6507 as well as the Atari 2600. And I'm not sure what the best way to open this is. Is this a good way to open it, a bad way to open it? Do we need to undo those two? Let's just see if we can get those screws out. There we go, all four are out. Now let's see, does the top lift off? Or is it like the other, yeah it is, it's like these other ones, you know, tape deck we covered, the 1010, where you've got this brown piece here, and this is obviously from the same era because it's got the same style as the 1010 cassette deck. This brown piece is sort of clipped on the front, so if you're not careful you could break it. So I'm not sure, no, hang on, how do we get the knob off the front here as well? This is the other complication with this. We've got, you know, I am going in blind here, I've never done this before, I've not watched any videos. Yeah, you see the front look lifts over here like that. Let's just do that and then see if this comes off. Carefully. Yeah, there we go. Wow, some big capacitors in the back of that. Yeah, look at those bad boys there, they're massive. Massive. Of course, recapping something like this these days, you could probably, well, you'll find they're a lot smaller for the same ratings, although these are massive capacitors. 6,800 microfarad each of those. Yeah, some glue there holding those in place. The chances are that those caps are alright, and regulator down here. Now bear in mind, what we feed into this is, I think it's something like 12 volts AC, isn't it? So you've got a bridge there, bridge rectifier. Let's see if I can point, I can't find where my screwdriver's gone. Yeah, bridge, 4 diodes forming a bridge to, you know, convert the AC, rectify the AC into DC. And then a regulator, I think, down here, something over there, another regulator perhaps. And we've got our logic board, just like we get on the Commodore drives. So I'm not sure who makes this drive, whether it's an Alps type drive or a Mitsumi. Oh, it's Tandem. There you go, Tandem. Very interesting. So what holds the drive in? Oh, hang on, nothing. He says, as it tips up. Oh, this is what you've got to be careful now, because we've got the knob on the front here. This is the thing, how does this come off? Does it just pull off? I've got to be very careful with this. You tend to find on these drives, certainly on the Commodore ones, this just pulls off. But, does it? That's the thing, that's so firmly on there. Maybe I don't need to pull it off, because you know what, it's not stuck on, it's the bezel here is part of the drive, so we don't need to actually worry about that, it's not going to break off. I think on the Commodore drives, doesn't this poke through a hole on the front? I think it does. So we don't even need to remove that at this stage. And you may have to remove that circlip to get it off, I've got no idea. Anyway, how does this front bit come off then? Because that right now is the issue here. Just try and gently, there we go, massage it, and it's coming out, look, there we go. Put that away. You can see what I mean though, you know, this, you don't need to take this off at all. Tandem. I had no idea that these used Tandem drive. So we've got the connection for the head down here, so let's just pull this off. The red is towards the front of the drive, for my reference, that red wire. So a single head, and then you've got the thing here that just puts a bit of pressure down onto the head. We've got a connection here as well, so let's just get that one off, this little red one. So can we get that the wrong way? Yellow towards the back of the drive. Let's just try and pull the connector. I don't know how that's clipped on, I can't honestly see. Yeah, it's just very stiff. So yellow towards the back. I think what I'm going to do actually is just put a wee mark on these, because I will inadvertently, let's just put a black blob there. Yeah, I'll probably get them the wrong way around if I'm not careful, and a black blob there, just so it's obvious which way that goes. And it was red towards the front on the head thing. So let's just move that out of the way. And then of course we've got two more of those huge connectors down there as well. Wow, this is fiddlier than I thought. Because you've got to reach into this area to get them out. It's a bit easier on the 1541. Now these are going to get messed up because we've got a 4-pin, a 4-pin, a 3-pin, a 2-pin. I might just number these or something, I don't know. The problem is, you see, the wires are all white. So I mean, alright, you've got a 3-pin and a 4-pin, you can't really mix those up. You could mix the 2 4-pin ones up though. So, yeah, I think we'll take them off. Right, let's take them off. Do that one first. Oh my god, that's stiff. That's it. And I'm going to write on it a little right arrow like that and put 1, and then pull off the second one. These wires are going to come out of this, aren't they? If you pull by the, there we go. Pulling by the wires is never a good idea, but I'm kind of a bit restricted. And I'm going to put 2, making sure I'm writing these on the side where I'm pulling them off, you know, so that they face the right way, because you could have flipped the orientation around on these, because they're just pins is the point. So this one's 3. Again, being careful not to let go. 3. And it's just one long strip. That would be so easy to get those mixed up. Those wires are going to come out of that. This one's... Did I just rotate that? I don't know whether I just... No, I didn't. So this one's 4. In very poor writing. 4. And then the end one here is 5. Let's... God, Bennett. Yeah, I put the wrist strap on. I should have had it on from the start with this, really. Oh my god, that's so stiff. There we go. 5. There we go. I'm going to put a dot on the heatsink there, just so I know that the arrow I put on pin 1 is going to go that way. So, the drive should now be free. Woohoo. So, yeah, belts. I think the squealing's going to be from this, from the motor. Could be up here. That's going to squeal, isn't it? So we'll clean that up in a sec. Let's just have a look at this though. This is what I'm interested in. So why have we got a big huge shield around that in true Atari fashion? Probably need to take this board out now to get that off. It may even be attached here actually to this huge heatsink. I think it's worth doing that anyway, just to have an inspection. But I'm not going to recap it, I'm not going to replace these caps. They're going to be fine. Got interesting ground points here for this. Obviously, you know, they do go under there. Maybe the screws, I don't know. Weird. Yeah, so how does this board come out then? Is it bolted? No, it's not bolted from the other side. Does it just lift? Yeah, it just lifts. So from a serviceability point of view, that's quite nice. It's not even, you know, it gets held in by the drive itself. Let's have a look on the underside. That looks quite nice and tidy, actually. Solder point's really good on that. That is better than Atari's usual standard. Well, we've got a solder point there where there's not very much solder. Solder points around the power supply look good. So we've got a shield here, look. Oh, so annoying. Yeah, it is another one of these where we've got to bend these little clips up, and then the bottom shield and the top shield should come away. It's a bit dirty and dusty though, can you see that? There's lots of dust and fluff, so it's worth doing that. Let's just have a look. Just try and bend these upwards. A flat blade is perhaps better. But I'm just going to try and go straighten them out somewhat. Look, that's what I'm doing. Like that. So that's pointing straight upwards. Get one under that. And again, just try and lift it straight upwards. Someone's been in here before, because those I reckon those are going to break off. You could argue, don't put the shield back on. See, back in the day, this would have been an FCC requirement in the US probably. And we had similar sorts of things here, you know, in Europe, to do with emissions, you know, things that could interfere with radio and television were what they were concerned about, which is why we had so much blooming RF shielding on things. But these days, well, I mean, you can argue now more than ever we should be more worried about it. But the point is, you might not want to. Is that being upgraded? It's got ICD on it. It's got some sort of custom thing there. Don't know what that is. Yeah, you might not want to put that shield back. So there we go. There's the main logic look. So if I try and untangle myself with the wrist strap. So we've got Western Digital controller there, WD2793A PL-PL02. So I don't know whether that's an off. I think it is an off-the-shelf controller. You might be able to get that these days as a spare. We've got a Tandon chip there, which I'm guessing it says 8420. It's quite a long part number on it. I'm guessing that's going to be a ROM, but I could be wrong. And then we've got an R6507. There we go. There's the CPU. So there's the same CPU you get in an Atari 2600. I mean, I guess it's nice that if you have one of these and the CPU's died in it, you could just take one out of a 2600. You could probably adapt with one of the later CPUs, the Sally or something. I don't know. I can't imagine that not working. And then a 6532. It's got a Riot look. So it's like a lot of the components from a 2600, isn't it? You stick a tier on here, you've got a 2600 more or less. Yeah, so it's really nice. Yeah, so it just needs a clean really. I think that's all I'm going to do, clean this up. So I've got some variable resistors here with little bits of lock nut stuff or whatever it is, just to hold those in place after they've been adjusted. A trim cap there, you know, adjustments basically that they would have made at factory. I'm not sure if a service manual exists for this with, you know, reference to those things. Yeah, some of these caps are a bit squished down, but yeah, I'm just going to leave those as they are, I think. So I'm not sure what this is here, this ICD. That doesn't look normal, does it? I don't know whether that's like a new thing or, I don't know, let's mod and upgrade. I wonder what that could be. I'm thinking RAM. You see, I think it's in a socket. Let's just see if we can gently, yeah, prise this out. Wow, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Dallas real-time clock chips. Like, why is it in a huge thing like that? I don't know. Why has it not got a part number on it? It just says ICD. That's it. Which is mysterious, isn't it? The sockets on these are single wipe, so you know you could have problems connectivity wise with some of these chips. If you've got one of these and it's not working, first thing to do is take the chips out and reseat, clean the you know, spray some contact cleaner into the sockets maybe, but I don't need to do that. I'm just going to press these down, see if we've got any chip creep, and we don't. Everything's holding in place or held in place for the years without a problem. We've got a tantalum down here. These things can short. Just got to look at those two regulators there. Yeah, that one there is a transistor, a tip 110. A 7812 in the corner there, that's a positive 12 volt regulator. I'm guessing this one's going to be a 5 volt. Yeah, that one's a 7805. So positive 5 volts, that one. Again, you could swap these, you know, if they've had a hard life, you could swap them. I guarantee they're going to be alright for decades to come, probably. Of course, it really does depend on the quality AC you're feeding in. You know, if you choose a power supply that puts out a lot more voltage, 14, 15, 16 volts, that will have an incredibly tough time. Because, you know, your DC that comes from the AC is higher, and then that's got to generate more, you know, it dumps more heat into here when it's dropping down to 5 volts from whatever. So the nearer you get to 9 volts there, or 12 volts I think, the better. I actually think the power supply is probably more like 10 volts, and it doesn't output very much difference to that. I think it is around the 9-10 volt mark. Yeah, so there's the old electrolytic. So there are quite a few electrolytics. There's a little one there. That would be subject to becoming a problem because it's so tiny. There's so much space around here for heat sinking though. You've got vents and things on the back, you know, so unless this had a huge amount of use, I'm sure the caps are fine. Anyway, I'm just going to clean up with cotton buds and IPA, you know, I'll show you, just rotate this around. If you look down here, it's very dusty. And there's lots of test points here, you know, individual pins soldered onto the board, and the marked up TP, like TP9, TP11, TP8. Those are loose, aren't they? That's interesting. They shouldn't be. Why would those be loose? I just think those have come loose over the years. So those need tightening up. That said Ash on it there, I think, or ASM, I don't know, I've wiped it off now. Sometimes you've got to be careful not to remove things like that, but I thought it was a bit of dirt. It wasn't, it was some ink. Yeah, just change cotton buds periodically and then go back over the bits you've done, and you'll find you still get more dust and fluff off it, even though you thought it was fairly clean. The power switch is a wee bit weedy on this. It reminds me of the one that is on the, I was going to say the ST, but I think maybe it's a bit thinner than the one that's on an ST. It's quite, maybe it's not, it's quite thick actually, so maybe it is the one that's off an ST. I'm sure you could swap that out. And of course, when it comes to just general cleaning, you know, getting dust off, you can use a toothbrush like that. So I've got some 7.4 series scattered around this as well, quite a few 7.4 series and what have you. Some of them might not be, some of them may be CMOS. For example, we got a different chip there. We got CA3086. I don't know what that is. I mean, an X86 might be an XOR, but it might be, well, not a 7.4 series. I don't know. It just could just be the code that manufacturer's chosen to put on it. Anyway, we'll have a clean around the power section as well. Of course, my life would be made easier if I removed the heatsink here, but I don't really see the need to do that. Got the crystal there for presumably the main clocks and things, you know, for the CPU and what have you. Yeah, that crystal is 4 megahertz. 4 megahertz. Now I'm guessing this CPU doesn't run at 4 megahertz. Yeah, we've got our drive selection switch on the back there. I'll get some contact clearance of that. So in terms of the ports, the back there, just get a wee bit of contact cleaner in there. And onto the switch. Just point it downwards. Do a bit of switchy switch. Squash a cotton bud down flat. Just get a wee bit more in there, and yeah, if you just push the cotton bud in there, you can get right onto the pins, and in between, if you squash it enough, you can get in between the rows. Show you, there you go, it's going in between now. And of course, if you've got some deoxit, that's even better. Yeah, and with the power jack there, I'm just going to just chop one of these cotton buds in half. Spray that again. Like that. And then just experiment seeing if you can get, yeah you can, I can get that in. And get the stalk in there and just push it all around that centre pin. Look at the black marks coming off that. And of course, as you get some contact clearance to the switch on the front here. Should I work out the best way to do that? Probably from this through the stem here, and then a bit of switchy switch again. Right, I think other than cleaning around that LED, I'm happy with that. If you've got a faulty one though, or you want to just extend its life forever, you might want to, you know, swap the caps or check the ESRs at least. Where did this go now? Did it go in there? Yes, it did. So I'm going to clean this out with some soapy water, I think, before we stick that back in. Just before I wash it, I'm just going to tighten these nuts up. Yeah, so I finger tighten that, and then I'm just going to twist it once or so, like that. Just to make sure, hang on, I can still undo that with my fingers. The easy way to do that is just to screw here like this as you hold the nut on the other side. And of course you could put a tracker or recon device in place of these, you know, a DC to DC. You could wash it in the sink. Yeah, I think you'll agree that's pretty darn clean now. Just give it a quick blow and we can get the drive back in. Let me get the wrist strap back on. And when I say the drive, I mean the logic board first of all. So it hinged in, didn't it, by the SAO. Hang on, let's get the heatsink back on. Heatsink, it's not really a heatsink, is it? It's a shield. Look at that there, it's got little rubber feet, look. They stuck rubber feet on it. So that it stands off the underneath of the board there. That's quite funny. Those are the same ones you get underneath, like an ST or some of these, you know, peripherals. Now there is a difference, look. Can you see there's a cutout bit here? So if you don't get this the right way around, things are going to short. I actually think that's the wrong way, because what's that cutout for? Maybe that cutout's for around this side. It's times like this I'll have to go back and look at the footage to work out. Is that for that IC there? Until they put that little cutout there, it was shorting on the pins there. That's what I think. So I think that's what those cutouts are for. Or the cutout, not cutouts, plural. I think that's just because if you imagine it going straight down there, it would short on that chip. So you do have to get that on the right way. And I'm sure that's the right way. We may be going back in this because I might try and get one of the upgrades for this. And you'll probably need to remove the CPU or the ROM or both for that sort of thing. So let's get it back in there again. So it's going to get tilted in the back first, I think, with the connections here. Is it? Like that. And then, yeah, you don't need it back that far, do you? I don't think. Well, that's fiddly again, for sure. Yeah, these little bushings here get right in the bleeding way. That's it, as you're trying to lower it. So it just sat there like that, didn't it? That's it. Just for good measure, I'm just going to wipe the top of that shield there. With IPA, that is. Yeah, it's kind of like started to corrode a little bit, that. Can you see that? It's like, unless that's just dirt, but yeah, I think that's just started to corrode a little bit. Wiping over it with WD-40 would be better. So we'll start by cleaning up these rails and getting some Molykote onto them. So the head assembly just slides like that, so it's really easy. This is really dusty. There's loads of dust on those. So if you push it all the way that way, get all your dust and fluff, and obviously off the mechanism as well, because it's just going to get straight back on there if you don't clean up the wider area. Let's focus on the wider area first, maybe. If you've got compressed air, you know, use compressed air, because all these little gaps and nooks and crannies and things, you're not going to get easy access to just with a cotton bud, unless you do a bit of that sort of thing regularly. Yeah, that is really noisy. You can hear that as I move it. You can hear that. So again, a bit of IPA just on the plastic part here that just puts pressure onto the head. And it puts pressure on the disc so that the disc fits flat with the head, you know, because it's just a single head below, down there. You can't lift that up very far, can you? That's annoying. You can get easier access to the head there. But anyway, all of this here just needs the surface cleaning. It's very dusty. I think you've got a track zero sensor there, don't you? Yeah, you do. This little plastic arm here, as the head goes that way, cuts through there so it knows it's at track zero. You've got to be careful. If you were to undo those screws there, you could get knocked out in your alignment. Right, and let's just have a clean around the wider part of the chassis here. You've got a switch up here. which I am not sure what that's doing, but it's a micro switch. The contact is there. Oh, it's to see if it's shut, isn't it? Look, spray it. There we go. Yeah, micro switch. Now, do you know what I don't like about that? I don't know you can see that the switch is moving. There's so much mechanical force there at that point. Yeah, hopefully you can see this. If I just rotate it, watch the switch. His whole body is moving there. It's almost like that needs moving slightly or something, I don't know. Anyway, it is working, so I'm just going to leave that as it is for the moment. In terms of mechanical parts though, so we've got friction there, so it could do with some Molyko there. So let's get the grease. So Molyko EM30L, a synthetic grease. First saw this on 12 volt vids, I always say that. Anyway, this stuff is synthetic. You could use lithium grease or something like that, but this stuff doesn't really react in a negative way. You can use it on metals, plastics, nylon, anything really. ABS, it'll just lubricate really well, bring any excess off. There we go. So we've got just a little bit there. You can argue maybe try and get a bit into that, the point where it pivots. The ideal way to do it is take this out completely in order to lubricate something like that. And you can argue up here could do with some really as well, but anyway, let's just see if we can get a bit there. And on here, look at that, can you see that little gold line there? That's where wear has occurred. And you might not think that's a problem, but this over time will be going down, 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 down because of wear there. Let's just get some onto, there you go, at that point, and then slide that. In fact, it's down, isn't it? There we go. Let's just do a bit of that. And then we of course need to get some on the main thing here, so we'll get a tiny bit on that side. Hang on. Well, that's going to do nothing now, isn't it? You do have to look to see what moves where. Get some here. And then just carefully slide that forwards and backwards. There we go. That's gone in place. You can do the same thing down here, and it's difficult to get it under that bar. And you can argue, if you wanted to extend its life, what you should do really here is undo these cable ties and move this slightly further up that way, so that the bend is slightly further away, if you see what I mean. That's one thing you could do. I'm not going to do that, but and then re-secure it is the point. Move it half a centimetre, a quarter of a centimetre that way, and then put cable ties back down again. You could do that, and then you might deal with weakening at this point here or at that point, whichever point is starting to weaken up. So again, just get some down there, and do a bit of that. There's very little travel on that, isn't there? It's like you can think you need to lubricate the whole bar, but you don't really. It's like you need to do very little of it. So I'm just cleaning off the excess, like in the middle there maybe. And down here we don't need quite a big lump on the end like we've got. Yeah, and I covered before these where you got this tape. It's like a metal tape that comes out and that it wraps around this here. Clean the actual tape, like put your cotton bud there like that on the tape, and then have a wipe just on the part that's exposed. So there are numerous things you could do here to stop that squealing. Like take the circlip off, put some grease. I'm just going to put a tiny, tiny dot, there we go, a tiny dot of oil there. Let's just see. And in fact that part doesn't spin, does it? That's the thing it's mounted on doesn't actually rotate. Let's try and put that down and see what happens. Yeah, that's just a piece of plastic that hangs down, isn't it? Anyway, it won't do any harm, just have a tiny bit there, let's just get the excess off. And yeah, obviously, consider getting a bit like that there. You can actually rotate it, look this way. Oh, it's one of these Alps ones, this. Oh, well, it's not really Alps. It might be the mech, even though it says Tandem on it. You can see here, this is how you do the timing adjustment. You get a 50 or 60 hertz light, and as this is rotating, you'll see a straight line if you've got its RPM configured properly. Yeah, I want to spin that like that. But often, putting oil like that won't do very much. So anyway, we've got a tiny bit there. Maybe it was rotating. It is rotating, look. The circlet might be the thing that's rubbing. You could replace your belts relatively easy. Although, just look at that. How would you actually unhook it from here? I don't know, you probably have to detach the motor. So anyway, this belt looks good. It seems alright. So I'm just going to just put the cotton bud there and just pull it past the cotton bud. Rotate the cotton bud as I'm doing this. Yeah, that is as good as new. So, and again, you could get a tiny bit of oil there, but do you know what you don't want? You're going on the belt. Is the point. So, just make sure. Yeah, you see that's just the point at the top. That's not going to make any difference. You'd probably have to get something into the bearing there. You'd have to pull this off. I'm not sure how that's joined on there. Might be pressure fitted. I don't see any screw or anything on it. But yeah, it could be this motor that's you know, squealing here. And again, we could just try and get a bit of oil on the top of there. You could also just spray a tiny bit of contact cleaner in there as well. That might do it. You want to do that when it's rotating, really. Just a tiny little bit. So the final thing I'm going to do is just clean the heads up, and then we'll give it a try, see what it's doing. Is it quiet? Is it not? Might not be able to solve the squealing on it. Certainly not without a lot of work. I just want to see if there's anything we can do. So I'll press in here so it squeaks, and I'll inspect that with some magnification. Circle around it. And the plastic, that is. Yeah, it's quite dirty, that. Can you see that? And again, a tiny bit of IPA and just clean the top thing there, which is probably sponges it. It may have even worn down. I'm not going to go crazy with that because you can dissolve things sometimes, as you know, in attempts trying to clean up. Let's just move that spring back. Right, let's just get it back together and give it a try, maybe. Yeah, there's another step here. This could be the thing that's squealing, but I don't think so. The squealing was constant, which makes me think it's just the main spindle here. I've got to try and connect all these million wires now, haven't I? I think one of those little metal things is missing from there, you know. I don't remember it falling out, but there's one of these things missing. We've got 1, 2, 3. I need to have an inspect around to make sure I haven't dropped one out somewhere. I actually think someone's been in it in the past because, well, I never saw that fall out anywhere. That little metal pin. Yeah, so be careful you don't lose those pins. That was lucky that I noticed that. Yeah, and they line up with the screw holes there, so as you put it down like that. There we go, drive's held in position, look. So let's try and get these now. Okay, this is where it goes now. I've got to lift the drive up to put that one on. It goes under here. Oh my god. Yeah, red to the front. Pull that down. Yeah, that's not straight, is it? Right, now it is. So it's just that one there sticking out that I don't like. Maybe yellow was towards the back of the drive. I'll report back. Well, this is unheard of. An actual unopened box of discs. It's like £10 this, which is not bad. Yeah, double density 5 1/4 discs. Probably work after all these years. I mean, they have been sealed, so that is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, and it's like not like someone's faked it. That's genuine. Those are genuinely unopened. You can argue I've destroyed the value of them by opening them. Yeah, so I'm going to try and copy a disc. It's not clear to me how on this device here, the SIO to SD, I changed the actual disc without doing the menu. So we've got a disc in there. It's really noisy, that, isn't it? Can't get rid of that whine. Anyway, I'm now going to choose to copy. I was looking for some disk copy software, and funnily enough, I found Jan Meades' guide, and he used this version of Meades here, because I think this is a copy thing. I don't see it. Copy files. Duplicate disk J. Let's try that. Source, destination, sectors. Oh, I need to look at this guide again. I don't know how many sectors these have got. Is it 9 or 8 or something? And then you've got the source is going to be I'm going to copy DOS, so it's going to be 0, 1, but I don't know about sectors. Let me go see. Yeah, he didn't type that in. He just went 1, 2 and then press return. Insert both disks. Right, so that's reading from the SIO to SD, and then it says error 144. So what is going on here? I suspect you can't see this. Now, I did switch the switch on the back there. Does that not put this as the next device down? I honestly don't know. Let's just see if we can change the config for this. So we go. See, I'm not sure if this is looking at this and that at the same time now. So it's reading from the SIO to SD. Oh, it's writing, I think. What I figure is, once I've got this copying software on here, I can then... What can I do then? I can put Spy vs Spy 2 on here, for example, the ATR file, boot from this disk, and then write Spy vs Spy to another blank disk. I quite like this. The one thing I'm not sure about with ATRs is does it represent one side of the disk, or does it represent a whole disk image? Because if it does, I'm not really sure what you do. Will it tell me to flip the disk over? I don't know. I think that's worked. So I'm going to disconnect. I'll power this off. Disconnect the SIO to SD. Right, switch it on. I just want to see, will it boot from the drive or not? No, it won't. And herein lies the pain in the bum with these drives. You've got to keep switching the blooming switches over depending on the order that you've got them in your system. So that's now back in its default position. That should mean it's the first device. And if I switch the Atari 8-bit on, see what happens. Seemingly nothing. When you switch the switch over on my drive to left position, its ID is 3. And I worked that out by trying to do a directory. How do you do it now? It's here. Here it is. Directory, press 1 to 8 to do drive 1 to 8. So I tried D1, looks at the SIO to SD, 2, nothing. 3, suddenly the drive kicked into life. So I'm like, it's not ID 2. So I was following Jan Meades' guide, and clearly a stock drive probably is ID 2 when you switch that switch over. Maybe someone's modded it so it's ID 3 when you switch it in the other position. Or maybe it was a later revision drive or something, I don't know. I'm going to select Other, and then I've split them into XEX and ATR. So I'm going to go ATR because I've got Spy vs Spy in there, and then go down here till we find Spy vs Spy ATR. Press enter and hold it. That is now on the drive. It took me ages to work this out. It's not that clear. It probably is documented somewhere. Oh, we've got a freshly initialised disk in the 1050 there. So I'm now going to do J, duplicate. Source wants to be 1. Destination is 3. And then press return. So it's reading the Spy vs Spy disk. It's utilising the additional RAM that the, this XE machine has, 128K. Yeah, you can see it reading there. And finally it started to write, and I'm getting no errors. Wow, that's took ages to work out. So a massive thanks to Jan Meades, because you know what, it's gave me a head start using this software. The software's pretty good because you can do a directory with the disk, you can initialise the disk. It's useful just for quickly playing around with disks. I'm sure there's probably better disk copy software out there. And I did find a number of them before I discovered Jan Meades' blog, and I seem to be getting nowhere. One of them I downloaded and it just doesn't run. Doesn't matter whether you hold down option or not, it just doesn't work on this machine. Maybe it needed an earlier version of BASIC or something. So no errors so far. It's doing a bit of to and fro here. It's reading and it's writing. Maybe it's verifying, I don't know. Oh my god, and after all that I get error 139. It's like really cheesing me off this. Yeah, so trying to boot, I wrote Prince of Persia on this, the two sides of the disc, and I'm not sure if that's booting or not. Or is it stuck in a loop? I don't know. No, it's doing the same thing it did before. Maybe it just takes ages to load, I don't know, but the copy seemed to work okay for both sides of the disc. I did have to cut a hole with some scissors. You can see on these discs you get the right protect notch there, and you can get a tool to do this. On the disc that's in there now, to cut a hole there before writing the second side. I mean, I guess I do. I cut the hole before I even tried to write. I guess I would have got a right protection error. If they work the opposite way you think, it's like you stick the thing over there to protect it. You know, when there's a hole there, you can actually write to the disc. So I stand corrected, and there's some weird shit going on. This is not drive 3 at all. This is drive 2. Yeah? And I don't know how it was working as drive 3 before. So I'm now using a virtual drive 1 and a virtual drive 3 on here. I'm copying from 3, which is Spy versus Spy 2, to 2. And now this is responding to commands on 2. It wasn't before. I wonder if that switch on the back's a 3-way switch. I don't get it. Just don't get it. Maybe the contacts in that switch are dirty or something, I don't know. Maybe sometimes when you press it to the left, it's not making a connection, putting it as ID 3, and then other times you switch to the left and then it's 2. In any case, I think I'm making progress. Let's see if Spy vs Spy will write this way. Probably not. There, you see, error 139. I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. Right, now trying a sector copy, and it is using ID 2 still. Why was it using ID 3 before? I don't know. There's something weird going on with the SIO stuff here. It could be a bug in the firmware for the SIO to SD, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Anyway, for the last 20 minutes it's been operating as ID 2, despite the fact it's still positioned the switch the same way as it was when it was ID 3 before. And we managed to write one disk that way. So, I don't know. Everything else I've been doing is failing, though, using that basic, my basic, whatever it's called, that Young Beta suggested. So, a sector copy might work. Let's try this. And this might not be the best one. There might be other ones. And anything that's got copy protection, you probably need maybe additional hardware. You can get like a little module that goes in the drive, a bit like you get on the 1541s, that maybe goes under the CPU or something that gives you some more RAM. And it maybe have a custom ROM, or you can run custom software on it to make use of that RAM. Anyway, that seems to be working just now. Right, surprisingly, that didn't give me any errors, so maybe it is about, copy protected game or something, I don't know. I would have thought if you've dumped it as an ATR, you could write an ATR to anything. Maybe I'm wrong. So, let's take the SIO to SD out, switch the switch back over, and what I'm hoping is that copy software boots from the disk we've just written. So let's switch this off and on as well. And I should have done that before I disconnected that thing, but anyway. Power it on, hold down. I don't even need to hold down option, I don't think. So it is booting from the disk. So that does work. And you can see there, it's setting up the RAM disk, so that is really cool. At least I've been able to get some software onto a disk. Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, you do need option on this one. You've got to hold down option to disable basic. Anyway, that's worked. Woohoo, my 3M discs seem to work. If only I could write something decent to the copying software. Wow, this is slow and it doesn't cache it in RAM. I've got to go up to 2D0. Done. Finally. Let's see if that works. Probably not, because nothing has worked so far. Everything goes wrong. I don't know why. And it's all ID based stuff, like 1 minute it's on drive 3, then it's not, then it's on 2, then there's some sort of clash, then there is, then there isn't, and it's just enough to drive you to despair. I don't think there's a fault. Yeah, this driver's got a bit noisier on it. Wow, it's actually booted an ATR that I've written to a disk. That is astonishing. It's only took 2 hours. It took 2 hours to achieve that. I still don't understand what the issue is or was. I don't know. The only thing I can think of is it just slowed the SIO speed down on the SIO to SD. Maybe it was too fast. I think I've got it halved at the moment. It's like on bit 8 or something. Got some things there. I don't know what that is. I think you get that when you don't hold option down. Maybe I didn't hold option down. Maybe this disk has got a corruption, I don't know. Anyway, let's see if it starts. I've got my controller here. And I'm using the adapter from James over at Retro HQ, so I'm using a Mega Drive pad. Right, so it got this far on the SIO to SD. As soon as you hit fire, yeah, it would freeze there, and this is actually loading. Oh my god, it works. I've actually written a disc that works. My whole day hasn't been completely in vain. I've had so many days recently where I spend like a whole day, and at the end of the day I've achieved like nothing. I mean, you can argue I do achieve something, because this is so much easier to play with the pad, by the way. As I mentioned when I did the tape deck thing, when I was explaining how to play this, the keyboard, you've got like 3 different fire keys. You don't when you've got a controller, you just have the main fire, that's it. You can do it all with the joystick. So I don't know what they were thinking of in terms of the keys on this game. I wish he'd go away. Let's try and go up there. Anyway, that is working. Let me just try that again, holding down Option, because I'm confused what those little corruptions were. Yeah, I got the same thing again. Maybe that disc has got a corruption on it or something. Right, let's try writing another game to the other side of the disc. Right, so there's our software. There it is. Hold down Enter. There we go, it's inserted in D1. So if we copy from 1 to 2, as this says here, press Start. Number of sectors, just press Return. It's still working at ID 2. So maybe it was the serial speed on the SIO to SD, it was too fast. This drive just couldn't compete with or keep up with the communication that was coming from the SIO to SD. That must be what it is. So there's a handy tip for you. If you're trying to copy disk images between an SIO to SD and a 1050 or some other Atari disk drive, just consider reducing the baud rate, the speed of the SIO to SD. And you do that by tapping Shift twice and going through the configurations and option there. Well, that's working now. So hopefully at the end of this I'll have Bruce Lee on the B side of this disc. Right, I've made some progress here, I think. This has been painful, I mean really traumatic. I've spent literally 2 whole days working on this. Trying to copy one disc, SPI vs SPI 3, it just wouldn't write. So you saw the issues I was having with this being detected as DF3 or DH3. It's not, I mean D3, that is, drive 3. These switches back here, there's 2 of them. So when you put a screwdriver in, you slide left and right. If you have it far enough back, you slide both switches to the left, which is why when both switches are in the left position here, it's D3, yeah? The software that Jan Meades suggested, it works really well, but it doesn't work with lots and lots and lots of discs because you need a sector by sector copy. And even though that software might be, pretending or suggesting it's doing a sector by sector copy, it's doing something a bit more intelligent. It's looking at the layout of the disc or something somewhere, the allocation table or something, and it's going, the disc is much bigger than it actually is. So when it comes to reading the first half of the disc, it reads and it writes the disc correctly, and then it continues reading and it hits the 241 mark in terms of the number of blocks, and then goes and just errors every time, like with a 139 error or something. And I think it's because there's something on that disc, maybe protection wise, that's saying the disc is huge. It's like 10 times bigger than a normal floppy. And when it gets 241, it thinks there should be more, and it can't find it because it isn't on the actual disc, yeah? And it just errors, that's it just gives up. It doesn't then write what it's got so far. If it did, it would work, actually. So I'm using a different software here, and I've tried 4 or 5 different packages. The problem is with them all, these are the copying programs. This one here, Sector Copy, they only work with D1 and D2, and I couldn't get it beyond D3. The drive was always D3. So having took the lid off and I thought I need to clean the switches up, because sometimes the drive was not even detected as D1 when it was on its own. And I was like, what is going on here? And I didn't realise there's 2 sets of switches to select the ID of this 1050 between 1, 2, 3 or 4, I think. Now it's working, it's getting way further than it did before. So this disc actually doesn't work, I think, as you'll see. It loads the game will work even with the SIO to SD, but the game won't start. Now I do have another image which is a bit smaller, it's like 65k instead of 91k, but I can't write it. Now I might be able to using this software. It may error, and that's completed, look, that's completed. So finally, I've been able to achieve this, and I'll run you through some of the steps I had to do to get this stuff working, and it might just help you understand it. I understand this drive better than ever. It's really easy to use. I was critical earlier on, going, this is awful, I don't understand anything about the interface on it. I understand it crystal clear now. It's so versatile, flexible, and it works really well alongside this, and it's an older version. It's a 1.3. If you buy one of these from Loth right now, you're going to get a newer one. It'll have the same firmware. This is on version 3.3 now. I put the very latest one on because I think when I did the firmware update earlier, I showed you it going through. It was 3.2 RC2 or something, and I thought, is it that? So I updated that this morning. Didn't make a difference. Anyway, now we've achieved that, let's switch it off. Let's now disconnect the SIO to switch the drive off as well. Disconnect the SIO. Put both of the switches there in the right hand side. That should be D1, yeah? And see if this, I'll switch this back on, see if this game now boots. So that worked, but as I say, there's a problem with this disk image. Maybe it was, I don't know why, I don't know what, you'll see. I mean, maybe it runs differently on here. Maybe the SIO to SD can't run this game properly. So what I mean is, and I'm sure it'll do the same thing, the intro comes up, the game starts, as soon as you press fire to actually start the play of the game, it will then just do nothing. But I do have another image which I'm now going to go back to. I'll copy it from the PC and we'll write this a second time using that sector by sector copy. And fingers crossed, I should be able to get Spy vs Spy 3 on this disc. I mean, the biggest trauma for me really was I couldn't make sense of why the drive, two things, the drive was always detected as D3, yeah, or when you switch the switches the other way, it was either not detected at all. I had a bit of that where I'd keep booting the Atari with just the 1050 on its own and it wouldn't even see it, and I'm like, what's going on? I mess around with switches again and then it would boot from it. So I'm like, now it's D1, and then I would switch the switches back the other way thinking that's now set to D2 and boot my software, and my software would just go, it's drive 3, it's not drive 2, and all the sector copy software only works with D1 and D2. There's no option for D3. So I was stuck using that my basic or whatever it's called, and yeah, that's just doesn't work properly on discs that don't follow the standard layout. If you see what I mean, maybe they've got protection or something. So this is where I think this won't work. Let's it go. It is doing, I think, because it's doing a load. Oh my god, that works! See, now that doesn't work on the SIO to SD. Oh, I'm so pleased I've managed it. So I've got Spy vs Spy 3 on that side. Flip the disc over, should be Spy vs Spy 2 on that side. I've spent 2 whole days to get to this point. It is nuts. I mean, I was thinking of sending this drive back to Tom and going, I don't think I want the 1050. I'm too traumatised. I'm never going to use it. But you know what? Now I've understood things and made some progress, I'm really grateful for Tom for sending this. You can hear it's a bit noisy. That was the other reason to take the lid back off. Still haven't got rid of the wines yet, so let's try and do that. And there we go. On the other side, we've got Spy vs Spy 2. So written from the ATR files to actual discs. So I'm going to label those discs up, celebrate my achievement, I think, by having a bit of a play on these 2 games. And now I've got that working. On the other disc I've got Bruce Lee on the underside, and I'll copy, I think, the sector copy software on the other side maybe. Or Spy vs Spy 1, I might do that. Disc is definitely the way to go with the Atari 8-bit. You know, I've got a couple of cassette repairs, you know, cassette deck repairs on my channel. There'll be links to those sequentially top right. There'll be a separate video on the ins and outs of the SIO to SD from Lothrak, which is 1-player Hipfire. There we go, it starts, look. I think this was a later version of this game, of the second game, because you don't get the second load, it just loads the whole lot into the RAM all at once. So yeah, I've got the best versions of these now on floppy. Fantastic. Yeah, so disk drive is definitely the way to go with the Atari 8-bit. Tapes are just absolutely painful, as you'll see in the cassette repair videos. I mean, it's worth watching those videos. Useful tips and techniques and things that you can apply to the tape decks of any system. That's the key really with those. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, we will revisit this as I maybe do a mod or an upgrade or something to this 1050. I'd like to put some more RAM in it and see if we can find ways to utilise that, copying things and stuff. Oop. I'll show you one of the other traps here. I talked about this in the cassette thing. Let's do the rope trap. I think you press along, hang on, you press along a tree like that. You go up the tree, and then you go, I'm going to set a tripwire there. And then if the other spy comes across there like that, hang on. I'm not sure if your own traps can trip you up. Maybe you need to put it on another tree. Let's try it again. Yeah, you do. I think you have to press against another tree. There we go. Hang on. Oh, I went up in it. Like, is it this? I don't know where that winding is coming from. We are back to, if you lift this, it stops. Is it that? I think it's that winding on the disc. I think there might be some friction here. Let's try and lift this. It is, it's that. It's that. That is causing the whining. I'm curious as to what kind of surface that is. See, ideally you would want to replace that. I mean, it looks to me like it is a replaceable part. It looks like we've got a little clippy thing here that you could squeeze together and push it out. There you go, so I think it's coming out. Gotta be careful. Let me just take the disc out before I damage my disc. There we go, it's coming out. Very careful, just pull that. There we go. And we can have a look at the underneath of that. It's just a felt thing. Do you know you could replace that yourself? You could replace that yourself. I'm inclined to do that. So let me put you on cavernous cam. There you go, it's just a bit of felt, look. Yeah, and all I did is just gently press those, not a lot, didn't need much force, and it just came through. Yeah, I mean, you can see it's a bit bent there. That plastic is not going to last forever, is it? Anyway, yeah, that's just a little felt pad, so you could clean it with some IPA, but if you look at the thickness of it, it's not very thick. I am tempted to just pull that off now. I've got some black felt over there. I'm going to cut a little circle like that. I'm going to put a tiny bit of rubbery glue under it. I'll show you, and we'll stick a new piece of felt on. And I bet it doesn't squeal then. This has probably gone, yeah, it's gone a bit, it's not felty, but it should be. That's all it is. And of course, if you don't deal with that, you may scratch the top surface here. I mean, it's not scratching it, it's just whining. Right, so here we are with some felt. Felt is a useful thing to have around. Hence why I already have some. I use this for lots of different things generally. Atari 2600 masks for the buttons, it's good to create replacement for that. So I'll just cut a little, I don't know, square. This is the thing, it doesn't even need to be round really. You just need to get it the right size so that it fits. So, yeah. Something like that, start with that, and then I'm just going to drop that on the floor, never to be found again. And I'm going to cut that down to size. I'll report back. There we go, it's on a sticky pad, look. And we could, in theory, do the same thing. Yeah, it's just stuck on there. But I think it's going to be better glued, to be honest, because a sticky pad is probably not going to grip it. There are plenty of different glues you could use. This stuff's for shoes. Don't stick it on the wrong side, whatever you do. Just get a tiny bit there. That's probably way too much. Yeah, so that huge blob there, just going to distribute around there like that. And bear in mind, you really don't want to use this when it's wet, because it could go onto the disc. Yeah, I'm just going to just gently smush now that over there like that. Push it right down. That's it. So I just need to dry that. You can see it sticks out a little bit, but this is what you want. Originally it would have been a bit more padded out than it currently is. Yeah, so whilst that dries, I'm going to temporarily bodge this piece of felt. Just cut a long piece of felt like that, just on the underside there. This is default, doesn't touch the disc. You know, you need the height of the piece of plastic there, you know, of, I don't know, 3mm or so, to actually make contact with the surface. But you need something just to press, so that, just being gently cable tied on there, I'll show you. Just for the moment, while I'm trying to work out issues and things. Overnight, while that glue dries, we'll just do the job. I can just tighten that like that there over those really tight and pull it flat. Just trim that off. And this is a bodge. If you've broken your plastic piece, or you've not got a plastic piece, if someone's nicked it, you could do this. You know, I could now trim that off. Hang on. Like that. And I could, in theory, cut these off here like this. Being careful not to trim any wires or anything on the drive. Like that. And that will do. The felt is actually making a surface there. Connection with the surface, that is. Switch it on. It's silent. So that's another fix. If you've not got this bit, if your things are broken here or whatever, that's what you could do. But I need to leave this off for that glue to dry. I'd be foolish to put this in at least, you know, 24 hours. Leave it 24 hours. Because if any of the glue seeps through there, and don't dry it that way up, try and dry it that way up. If any of the glue seeps through, it could scratch the disc. So yeah, you've got to be very careful, and that's what I'm doing. I'm playing on the side of caution here, erring on the side of caution. Yeah, so I've got one label there that didn't come out quite straight because it was on the edge of a thing there, reel, and the right protect sticky thing. So you get these in, well, you did, in with discs. Spy versus Spy 3 is on the other side. And it just means it can't get written over if I'm accidentally trying to, I don't know, copy it to another disc or something. That's it, press it down. They're nice, these stickers, they're really well made. They grip really well, even after all this time. So there we go, we've got Spy vs Spy 2 on one side and Spy vs Spy 3 on the other. Yeah, just testing those. You can hear Spy vs Spy 2, I'm just going to start it. Yep, that started alright, so it's just a power cycle. Put Spy vs Spy 3 in and give that a go. Holding down Option to disable basic. Silent now. That's like the second or third time I've said silent now, and then it started whining again. So it was that all along. It was that sponge, you know, the felt. Yay, all working. Right, so the other thing I'll show you here, I've been using this obviously with lots of different discs here now. And yeah, this is copyrighted, trademarked, patented, but you're welcome to do this yourself as long as you give me credit. I've not seen anybody else do this ever. It was just a common sense thing, really. When I saw this on a Commodore disk drive, well, it just occurred to me it was a really logical thing to do. And that is, if we look at the heads here, if we look at the head, see that little brown mark there on the head? That's dirt that's rubbed off. IPA will not remove that. I know that because I've just tried IPA and it doesn't remove it. So what you've got to do, yeah, and I appreciate you can't really see from that distance, I'll microscope it again in a minute. Get the plastic cleaner onto the head and polish with the plastic cleaner on that bit, just gently. See, without a plastic polish that will not come off. Use the dry end, there's a little mark there, let's just give that a wee polish. See, friction will join something like that on there, you know, it rubs it into the surface. Then I will clean with another cotton bud and some IPA, just to make sure we've removed any residue. I'm damn sure there's no residue there, but it doesn't do any harm. Clean around the wider area as well. And see that mark's gone? You can see a hair there from the cotton thing above the felt I've got simply on. Spotless. So yeah, and of course the stuff that rubs off, it's not just dirt, that isn't what it is. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's mould, sometimes it's the coating from the disc there, which has magnetic properties. So, you know, you can have read issues just as a result of contamination of the surface of the head there. Anyway, let's try these. So you'll notice that I've relabeled these up, actually, the ones I did before, because these paper labels were not sticking to the plastic, whereas the 3M labels are. So I redid them all that way, stuck my sticky paper labels on top of the 3M labels, the ones that came with the discs. And they're all wrapped out. So we've got Beachhead 1, Beachhead 2. I'll show you Beachhead 2 because you've seen Beachhead 1 on one of the Atari videos. Close that, switch the Atari on, hold down Option. There we go, that's booting. Beachhead 2 title screen there loads incredibly quick. I mean, like, I don't know, 30-40 times faster than Beachhead 1. Press 1, normal. Yeah, it's much quicker at loading. Might have been a different company that, you know, deported this for, is it US Gold, I think it was, I don't know. In any case, it's a classic game, this, and Beachhead 1 is as well. So yeah, I figured it'd be really nice to be able to play these on an actual floppy disk. There we go. Trigger to start. Now, it took me a while to remember this. You've got to drop the people like that, fly a certain way, and drop them, and play the game with a cannon, really. You can see the cannon is like that. And if you just go extreme ends, really. Wait until the thing is near the end. Because then it takes ages for the cannon to come back. Because when you're playing as the side with the gun at the bottom, it's a bit different. And likewise, when you're playing two-player, it's a bit different because the other player knows where you're going and kind of tends to more follow the helicopter, you know, rather than this left to right scenario we've got going on here, where I'm tricking the computer by just going all the way left and then all the way right, knowing that there's no way it can get the turret there in time. It might kill the odd one. I don't know, I haven't noticed how many have died and how many have landed. You've got to make sure the helicopter's not too low either, otherwise the people die when they hit the ground, you know, they don't get a chance to open the chutes. It's so fun, this, though, it really is. Again, C64 version I think is a bit better, because I'm sure it's got some music, C64, certainly while loading as well. There we go, anyway, some of them died, some of them made it. And then it automatically moves that bar across, and when you get to the one you want, you press fire in the direction you want the soldier to run. So again, alternate, like that way, yeah, so the cannon's busy trying to get you know, one or the other. Oh, see, I didn't press the direction there, so that guy got shot. I've only got two guys left, haven't I? Oh, I think you can lob a grenade, that's the idea. You run down and lob a grenade. I've got one guy down. It's actually far harder than I remembered this. Now, I can't remember how you do this bit now. It's like going from left to right, isn't it, with things to avoid, if I know. Now you use the gun, and you've got to shoot the mines, I think. I think that's like something that kills your person. Hang on, you've got a tank, you've got to run him over. Yeah, so I'm using the gun at the bottom. I've got to shoot all these things. There we go. Like that. Is that one guy made it? Yeah, I think it is. Those little mine things that slide around are the hardest thing by far. What I like about this as well is the way the bullets stay on the screen. It's quite cool, isn't it? You've got unlimited ammo. So cool. We really nailed it with this. It's a fun game. Oh, that little thing's going to get in it. There you go. And I think you can shoot your own people, so you've got to be a little bit careful about where you fire them. Two guys made it. I think that thing's like fires a rocket upwards where the... Hang on. So, and I think there's something on that building there. Look, there is someone lobbing things down. Look, oh. Right, this is a flying over bit, isn't it? Push up or down to load chopper. Hang on. Oh yes, you got hostages. Got them. Oh, on board. Right, so got some hostages on board. let's put 3 on board, or 2 on board. Trigger to start, and it's a little shoot 'em up sort of thing. Or an avoid 'em up. I think more than anything, it's like you can try and shoot stuff, you've got to mostly avoid things, because, well... Oh, you can raise in height. Oh, it's a bit like Zaxxon. Oh no, hang on, I'm not high enough here. No, I'm not. Oh, God. I think you're supposed to go through the little hole there. Look at that tank, it's like relentlessly following me there. Oh. Yeah, it's quite hard to judge height, just like it is on Zaxxon. I think we can go under that though. But we might still have to avoid the bullets of that, I don't know. Yeah, I went under there, look. Some interesting overlap issues going on there. Yeah, I'm obviously too high for that. I think those things are going to zap me at the sides, are they? I don't know. What do we do here? Avoid the things that come out of the ground, I think. Oh my god, this is hard. Just gave me a bit of height. See, I think it ends up with you... Oh. They can still hit you even though you don't know that you're on the same height. And this is why you've got to choose how many of these you've got, because I think you've only got limited tries. There are other rounds after that. I think it ends with you and the dictator, or the ally, whoever, whichever side you're on opposite sides of platforms, and you lob things at each other and got to try and avoid them. It's quite cool. It's a fun game. Right, let's get our bodge off that we just had temporarily on there. And there's a few ways to do that. You could just lift it off this way here, up this thing. If we just close the drawer, there we go. So yeah, we could just get rid of that. Put that in the bin. I'm not going to use that for anything, am I? But I mean, that was a pragmatic bodge that would work if this was, not going to go back in place, but it should do. If I now put that under there and push that way up, get a flat blade. And I'd use a flat blade rather than push it onto the actual head. Yeah, try and stay away from the head, and then just gently press upwards. Like that, that's it, it's back in place. We've got our nice new piece of felt. And we'll give that a try, so lift that up. Let's try Spy vs Spy 2 again. It's come together really nicely, this. And it's just there on the front, isn't it? Silent now, it's not going... I tell you, that whining was driving me nuts for ages. Just because it was proving really hard to localise. I mean, the clue was obviously, as I raised this lever, it went away, and I was like, it's these here. Well, I'm leaving that bit of grease on those, because those things do wobble and stuff. So it might just mute a bit of sound there. Nevertheless, that has worked. Yeah, it's so much quieter. So much quieter. It stops loading at this point because the tile screen's up. Yeah, I only just turned the TV on. You can see someone's really scratched up that in the past. I've just coated this here. It looks a bit blobby, but it'll dry, and it'll dry clean. I'm just gonna go off that little bit of excess there on that edge. So, yeah, there were huge holes in this. Like, well, all of these bits here were all worn off. So just a bit of a black acrylic paint and a cocktail stick, and the best thing to use is a pin probably, because look at the size of that with that blob of paint. It's incredibly hard to get such a small amount with a cocktail stick. Let's just try and, there you go, try and get some here. But you see, if you look at that now, the A is really clear, the T is pretty clear. It's not too bad. I think I would just leave it like that, because there are no really bad scratches. But of course, if you wipe over that with IPA or something, it's going to dissolve probably, That looks alright, it looks a lot better, I think. And if you were wondering about the official 1050 power supply, you can see it here, it weighs a ton. And its voltage rating, it says output 9 volts AC. At 50 Hz, this is 27 volt amps. Anyway, I've changed the fuse in the plug. It's not an actual currently safe plug, this. It's not got the isolation pieces there, and it's probably not made of the same plastics these days. In any case, I replaced the 13 amp fuse for a 3 amp one, and that'll be fine. It just needs a bit of a dust. You can see there's some dust around there. But the interesting thing with this is, look at the length of the cable. This is so you can have your Atari 1050 disk drive located down the street at your mate's house. The cable, I kid you not, it's like, I don't know, it must be 10 metres long. It's nuts. It's actually nuts how long this is. It's probably not 10 metres, it's probably like 3 or 4 metres long, but it is very long. It might only be 2, I don't know, but it feels very long. It's getting shorter every time I say it, isn't it? Anyway, best way to cable these sorts of things up is lightly bound, like this, not tightly bound. Get those little twiddly things that you get on all new cables, you know, like USB cables you get for phones and things like that. Get a couple of them, sort of twist one like that there you go. That is not going to unwind itself when it's just sort of sat like that somewhere. Yes, the label's pretty scratched from above. I did use a black permanent marker, just colouring any of the holes in the black print there. It looks alright. You know, if you look at it from the front there in the light, it doesn't look too bad. Yes, it's a little bit scratched, but it doesn't look too bad at all. The old cable went back with Tom's drive. Thank you for lending me that cable, Tom. And I got this one off eBay. You can see it's very dusty and dirty, but it works. I just tested it. Anyway, I'm very pleased because I got a cable, and thanks to Tom, I have a drive to go with it. And I left the original name in indelible ink there, even though you can sort of see it. You know, invisible ink that is. And well, yeah, we marked it Service 2024. So I fast forwarded through the cleanup of that, but that cable is good as new. Contact cleaner into here works perfectly. Massive, enormous, huge thanks to Tom Meades for sending this, because he gave me the power supply as well with this. You saw it, well, look, it's come out perfect. All the marks came off here. I just used baking soda, as I mentioned in annotations. I didn't want to show you that, the video was getting on a bit long. So this came out pretty good here. One thought I did have is these little scratches in the silver paint. If you could find a silver match, you could literally get some silver acrylic paint or something and smudge it over there and then polish it, and you may find the little scratches are covered in the same way we did with the black acrylic paint on the start there, and then I used a permanent marker on the little gaps just under magnification, the gaps around the lettering there. So, you know, it kind of looks alright, don't you? You can see that? It doesn't look too bad at all. It looks really good compared to how it did at the start, and all of the marks came off with the baking soda. There's just the odd little mark that didn't, and it just looks pristine. The thing I didn't show you on the back, and I lost the footage for this, so the drive select thing here, if you look into that gap there, you can see, if I just move this, you see the switch is black, and if I just move that front switch across, can you see there's a white one behind it? Yeah, this confused me for ages. Can you see? Behind it there's a white one. Yeah, so if I put the to the left of the white one, move it across, that's now D3. All you can see is black. Yeah, and you can move the black one back, just move the black one, there you go. And if I show you the light now, can you see you've got black to the left, white to the right? I think that's D3, but the bottom line is the 4 different combinations you can have there of having the white one to the left, the black one to the right, like that. I think that's D2. So you can get D1, D2, D3, D4, I think, with the various combinations of those, if I'm counting correctly. Anyway, yeah, that confused me for ages. I didn't realise there was one switch in front of the other. The back one is white, the front one is black. So thanks ever so much to Tom, and also for this thing here. It's a Commodore one. I don't know if you noticed that. I did mention that in the footage I lost. It's a Commodore one. That would have come out of a 1084S or something probably. But yeah, it's nice nevertheless to have that. It is, of course, there you go, hard to get that in and out. Anyway, I do hope you found that video interesting. If you would like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next video.